Hello, everyone. Hope it's Steven here, and we are back with another video essay in Destiny 2. So, about a week ago, we wrapped up the finale of Season 20, Season of Defiance, the season that came packaged with Lightfall. And, like many others, I have some thoughts about it. Now, per usual, let's start off by saying this is my objective opinion. This is something that I feel. That does not mean you need to feel it. You are allowed to disagree. You are allowed to agree. It is okay. We live in a society where it is okay. I know things are a little tumultuous right now in the D2 community. This topic is something that's not super hot button, but in a future video we will be discussing something that is a little bit more hot take. And so if you are excited for that, just be patient. It'll be here very, very soon. Now, should go without saying, if you have not played any of the seasonal content in Destiny 2 for Season 20, please, 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 please go play it, go experience it by yourself before you come in and watch this video, because not only will I be talking about some major spoilers for the season, story-wise, I will also be showing some footage from the final mission and the prologue, epilogue, whatever. Make sure, if you don't want something spoiled for you, you go and experience for it yourself, then come on back and we can discuss. Ideally, don't go beyond maybe 10 minutes. Pause it. You know, do your thing. All right. So, what is Season of Defiance? Season of Defiance is obviously Season 20 in Destiny 2. It is the companion season content that came out with Lightfall. These seasons are typically a little bit on the lighter side of story and impact and content because they are launched alongside an entirely new expansion, and therefore we have to be able to take into account that, hey, you know what? We've got this massive expansion that we want you guys focusing on. We don't want you to spend all your time in the seasonal content, but we do want to offer it to push the story slightly forward. So, Season of Defiance. Let's talk about the basic story view to start off. The idea is prisoners are being captured by the Shadow Legion Cabal on Earth, while we are on Neptune. The invasion from the Witness and the Darkness Fleet and Callus and the Shadow Legion Cabal is also happening on Earth, and prisoners are being taken. Now, this season focuses really heavy on releasing those prisoners and the human aspect of what it means to be involved in this conflict when you're not a Guardian and you don't have access to light or dark. Amanda Holiday, Devram Kay, Misrax, or Mithrax for those of you that didn't check out his cool real name in Season of Plunder. A little bit of Marasov and a little bit of Crow. It is focused on using the power from Marasov in the Ascendant Plane to traverse into the strongholds that the Shadow Legion have captured and kept these prisoners in. Story-wise, pretty cool, you know? I think it's a really unique and fresh concept for us to be storming, remember, these are freeform with no editing, storming forward and taking over these outposts in these prisons and freeing, the civilian population. I think it's a really cool idea. It shows a cost of the conflict that we haven't really seen before because we're so used to just jumping in as Guardians and just plowing through everything. So it's pretty cool to have that there. Now, as you can see by the background footage, what is the main focus? What are we doing? What are we actually doing inside of the seasonal activity? It is another Battlegrounds. Yes, this is what? The third? Yes. It's the third set of Battlegrounds that we have had come in a seasonal activity. And I'll be honest with you guys, although these ones are cool because we are 2 seasons into the locked above, or sorry, excuse me, locked below the enemies. I think it's like 5 power level. So they're always engaging. There's always a little bit of threat. This is the second foray into that, and I think it does still stack up pretty well. In the early parts of the season, I will admit, it was a grind. These felt like they were a little bit tough, but I think that's exactly how it should be and it was supposed to be. By the time you leveled up and got a little bit closer and you were more acclimated to how the mechanics work and what you're supposed to do and the enemy spawns, it became a pretty simple, easy breezy activity that you still had to pay a little bit of attention to. As for the third foray into Battlegrounds, I personally am running a little stale. I think that they're a little bit more involved strikes, if you even can say that. They're basically strikes, let's be honest here. And I think while I do enjoy them, I don't know. When some of these come back eventually as a GM, I think I'm going to pull my hair out, and that's just me personally. So they're okay. They're just kind of there. I don't love them, nor do I hate them. Now remember what I said at the start. It is a shorter season. We had a few weeks of story, if you want to call it that, pushing forward ever so slightly. We had one big thing happen, and then we had a bit of a break. And then after that break, pretty recently, the final mission, the closing mission of Season of Defiance and the epilogue dropped into the game. They're always lighter, you know? A lot of Destiny seasons like to pack weeks upon weeks. I mean, I don't want to put a specific number because I don't want to be wrong and have you guys yell at me and say, how dare you say it was only 8 weeks when it was really 9? That. Okay, chill. It's a shorter season. And I get that. These seasons are always going to feel just a little lacking. But remember, we had the whole ass Lightfall expansion to do. And I do appreciate not having to feel super pressured to just power through all these battlegrounds and story missions when I'm also still trying to work on stuff from Lightfall. Do appreciate that. All right. So I already touched on battlegrounds from a feeling standpoint of where I'm at. I think these battlegrounds, gameplay-wise, are as engaging as last season's. I think they're fine. You know, Season of Seraph, Battlegrounds, where it's the same feel, different aesthetic, different coat of paint. I did feel like they were a little bit on the easier side compared to Season of the Seraphs, but still good. Difficulty-wise, there was a central mechanic for all of these, whereas, you know, there wasn't a central mechanic necessarily on last season's Battlegrounds and what was it, Season 13's Battlegrounds. The central mechanic is what you can see in the background where my Warlock is standing in this bubble. It's a balefire. You ignite the balefire once you're transitioning through these ascendant planes into the Cabal strongholds. And you need to kill an enemy. They drop a glowy triangle, and you're able to pick that up, bring it back to the balefire aura. You're able to change that into the ball from, the Corrupted. That's what it's called. And that is how you take down the immune shields. That happens with pretty much every boss, if I remember correctly. And it's a very bare bones mechanic, so I don't think it's really too offensive, although it does err on the side of boring and super mundane. And I think that we could have done something a little bit more interesting, but I do understand. They wanted to do something that was pretty straightforward. You know, everyone could get a grasp on. I don't love it, nor do I hate it. It's not a barrier to entry for new players. I think once people kind of got the idea of it, they had it locked down, and then, you know, you can speed through damage phases, which is great. There was a little bit of a fancy new thing added, and they are called favors. Favors of justice, favors of zeal, the other one. I will say to you guys, although this was something that initially when I thought and read the mechanic on, I was like, oh, this is going to be cool. More ability energy for using your abilities with your allies or using a grenade, all that kind of stuff. You want to know I didn't care about them at all. And I think that's a lot to do with what's going on in the game. We are so powerful. We have so many ways to get our abilities up, and we're so able to just have infinite uptime on all of them that I thought they were a little bit of a mute point. And to me, the favors kind of landed flatly, like it was just a way to put something in one of the seasonal challenges that we had to do. X, amount of favors per character per run, blah, 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 blah. Weapons and armor, they're fine. I really don't have too much to say. Aesthetically, I thought the season passes armor ornaments were some of my favorite that we've gotten. As for the reddish armor for the Queen's Guard, it was okay. It's not my favorite. I like pieces. I don't like the full sets. Weapons-wise, more of the same. I gotta shout out the auto rifle, having hatchling be a possibility. Very cool. Also do believe that the sword can run with incandescent and chain reaction, I think. It's a fun little thing there. Then I know the arc grenade launcher can run the volt shot demo, or not demo, blinding grenades. It might run demo. I don't know. I didn't really look at the rolls. They're just kind of there. They're okay. They're not great. They're not horrible. They're just there. All right. Here's where we're going to spend as much time as I can for the rest of the video talking about the story. The story. So I'll have to say, this is where the spoilers kick in. So I'm going to give you like a couple seconds if you don't want to have the major story arcs spoiled for you. You still there? How about now? Let's talk about it. The story started out decently strong. Nothing crazy. You're saving prisoners. There's a human aspect. We got backstory on Amanda Holiday that was fantastic. I loved having her around. I loved seeing how Amanda came to the last city and how she was a bit of a shitter, and she was causing problems and she was rebellious. And then the game killed her in a random explosion. No build-up. She saves some prisoners, says, then that's all that matters. And then a bomb goes off and she disappears in fire. How are we handling her as bad as we handled the death of Rohan, who we knew for all of 45 seconds before he died, with a character that has been here since day one? She has been an important part of the franchise, in my opinion, and she gets blown up with rarely any explanation. Then you have Mithrax running out, and Aramis saves him after she had warned him. First of all, Aramis I'm just going to leave out because it was a nothing thing. She was here for almost no reason. She was here to save Mithrax and put emotional weight. You kill off a very large main character. This is arguably the biggest one since Cade. And you do it in such a disrespectful way. Not to mention that, but Crow's reaction was good. Mara's was out of character, but decent. Zavala's was incredible, but I think that's due to the recent passing of Lance Riddick, and we all kind of felt the emotion going towards him instead of Amanda. But then we did nothing with all that. Crow promised vengeance. Mara was going to help him. Zavala's grieving. And then we have to wait for a few weeks. Then the final mission comes out, which you can actually see in the background. And it is a generic grab the buff, shoot these components, shoot some enemies, and then leave. The final mission was such a letdown to me, you guys, because it did no justice to Amanda Holiday. We didn't seek revenge. We shot Cabal. We've been doing that for almost 10 years now. There was no face to her killer. There was no retribution, because when we blew up the Cabal's ship, it didn't matter. It didn't matter. It felt so flat and so just like a wet fart in church. Sorry for the crude comment, but that's the only thing I can think of. This season could not have faltered at the worst time, in my opinion. I thought this season was a 7 out of 10 before Amanda died. Then I thought, okay, I'll give it an 8 because I'm going to see how they handle this, although I'm skeptical. By the time I let things sink in and the final mission came around, Retribution, I dropped to a 5. And seeing how it all played out, I think that's probably where I'm at. A 4.5 out of 10. Maybe a 5. It is massively concerning to me that after the missteps of the Lightfall campaign, we turn around and we get yet another serious story handled poorly. You know, Mizrax and Crow and Devrim are supposed to be on this ship with us. If you missed them, I don't blame you. They were hard to see. They were in the background doing some stuff. They said, "Yeehaw, thanks for having us along for the ride." Why weren't they coded in as AI or NPCs to help us? We can do it with Keidel's enemies. We can do it, or sorry, not enemies, with her allies against our enemies. So why can't we do it with the characters that are supposed to be helping us? I think this was a massive misstep. And although I don't think it's the worst thing I've ever seen out of this game, it really does leave me a little on the concerned side, story-wise, for how Bungie's going to move forward. I think they can focus up, as I said, short season, launched with an expansion. These are always going to be a little bit bare bones. If you guys remember, the season that launched with the Witch Queen, I'm spacing the name right now, I can't remember, but the one with the Scions and the mind control, it was a little bare bones, but it told a very nice controlled story to show Crow learning a valuable lesson and Saladin transitioning into being a part of Keidel's war council. It had a very important purpose. Killing Amanda Holiday is arguably one of the biggest purposes to focus on for a season, and it was completely fumbled. I'm sorry. This is not good storytelling. This is lazy. That doesn't mean it can't be figured out later. Who knows, maybe in a couple seasons she'll come back as a guardian and I'll be eating crow. No pun intended. Overall, I don't know. This season was a bit of a letdown, but I'm not as upset about the weapons, the armor, the activity, because at the end of the day, it's a short season. It's an intro to the new year after the expansion dropped. But I can't forgive the absolute misstep on the story beats. We know Bungie can do better than this. We had an entire year and a half of lead up with Witch Queen and the seasons afterwards, even on some of the weaker ones, that were better than this. You can't handle a major character death like it was rushed out of the oven. And I hope in the future we can rebound, because I have full confidence that Bungie can, even if it does leave me a little concerned seeing how we've dropped off a little bit. As for the very last epilogue, Will and Testament of Amanda Holiday, I thought that was actually better than the entire Retribution mission. I thought it was handled decently well. It's a nice private moment with Zavala. And then you go over and you have her final words and wishes, and you get her ship. You get her exotic ship, her personal one, that looks like the Chaperone. It's pretty dope. I thought that was handled well. A nice little send-off. And if you go over, you can see where she used to hang out. There's a memorial set up for her. It's a nice touch. Unfortunately, it doesn't dampen the pretty large letdown. Hopefully, in the future, we can look forward to things handled a little bit better. But as for Season 20, Season of Defiance, it's there. I don't hate it. I don't think it's the worst. I don't think it's good. I don't think it's bad. I think it's very mid. And guys, that leads me to ask you, what are your opinions on Season of Defiance now that we've wrapped up the story? Good? Bad? Or like me, is it pretty mid? Please, in the comment section below, let me know. Remember to be nice and be respectful. As always, we're all just discussing the game that we love, or even if you're hate watching this, just be nice for the hell of it. I really appreciate all the viewership, guys. It does mean a lot to me that you look at these videos and watch them. They are probably going to be the lifeblood of my channel moving forward. I'm going to step back from live streaming as much as I was before, and I'm going to focus on creating content because this is what I've always wanted to do. So let me know with a like and even a subscribe if you enjoyed this video and the content within. Again, let's talk about it. Season 20. How do you think it ranks up in the last year of Destiny, or in the seasons all time? Remember, just because it's short doesn't mean it's bad. But just because a large, important, earth-shattering thing happened inside of it doesn't make it good. Thank you guys so much again for viewing this video. I got to shout out Caesar here. Massive shout out to Caesar, my editor. He throws these things together and he makes it look beautiful. I know sure as hell that if I was trying to do it by myself, oof, it would come out looking horrific. The jump cuts would be horrible. He makes everything nice and smooth. As I said before, please, if you enjoyed the content, like this video, subscribe, and ring that notification bell so you are notified when I post a new video or any kind of content. I post a lot of Destiny shorts as well. Check those out. And guys, we will see you on the next one. Peace.